Well, everyone, it officially happened. Bethesda has officially revealed Oblivion Remastered, which looks like a remake and is graphically very, very stunning. I mean, some of these screenshots don't even do it justice. I'm going to show you some gameplay here in a second because I've already downloaded it and played about an hour and a half while we were streaming. So I'm going to tell you all about it, but I do want to just say that I think the reaction to this, which has been pretty remarkable and overwhelming. I mean, people are really excited for this. I think it shows just how much people want old school Bethesda to be back. I mean, yes, we all make fun of Starfield. We all joke about it. It's easy, right? Like the jokes write themselves at this point. But ultimately, the reason why even Starfield gets the reaction that it does, even now, is because people love Bethesda Game Studios. People love these games that are old and that are established and are part of their childhoods or teen years. They love these games and they just want BGS to return to form like this. And that's why I think the Oblivion Remastered release has been so exciting for so many people, because it's just pure nostalgia, but it also seems to be a really high quality release as well. And I think that that's just fun. And it's on Game Pass, so you can download it without an extra charge if you have that membership already, which is also just crazy exciting too. But let's go through what actually happened in case you missed it because you were working like a real job and being a responsible adult, unlike me who streamed a live reaction to it. I will say that the showcase I think was actually really well put together and presented. We streamed the whole thing and I started by lighting the Todd Howard candle, by putting up the cardboard cutout and wearing my Todd jacket, as one must do whenever Todd comes on screen. And the presentation was pretty straightforward. They framed it as a love letter to gamers who enjoyed Oblivion back in the day. They also made sure to stress how important Oblivion was to them, not just in a professional sense as a major game in their company's history, but also as gamers themselves, how this game made a lot of these younger developers want to get into game development to begin with. And it was also cool that they showed their partner for this project, Virtuos Games out of Paris. They showed how a lot of those devs love Oblivion and how this is a passion project and a labor of love and a dream project for them to get to work on an Elder Scrolls game like this. And that always goes a long way with me when I see that the people working on something love it. I feel like that adds a certain magical spice to the recipe that you can't replicate. You can't fill that in with a bigger budget. It's why, like Hogwarts Legacy, you could tell that those devs loved Harry Potter and this was a dream project for them. Same with this. You can tell that the devs that have been working on this love Oblivion and want to retain what's special about it. And I think that's great. They then showed a lot of really cool cinematics. They showed some of the side-by-side comparisons that previously leaked. They showed gameplay. They explained some of the technical aspects of how they've actually gone about recreating this game for modern audiences. And it's not super clear at this point, but what seems to have happened is that they got the creation engine, or at least the core bits of it for like AI, game logic, and that stuff. They got that running within Unreal Engine, and then Unreal Engine handles all the visuals and the presentation, basically. The way they phrased it in the presentation was that the creation engine is like the brains of the game, but the Unreal Engine is the body of it, which is kind of cool. And it honestly makes me wonder if they're going to take a similar approach with Elder Scrolls 6, especially if the reaction here is really, really good. I know it's probably too late to make those changes, but it does make me wonder if they're considering doing kind of a hybrid approach like that. Biggest argument against that would be that it seems as though this does not support mods at all. And it's probably because of that very complex thing they're doing, layering engines within engines. So I imagine they probably don't for Elder Scrolls 6, but still it seems like an interesting possibility at the very least. But during the presentation, people started mentioning in chat that you could actually download it already. And sure enough, we pulled up the Xbox app and it was available for download. So I started downloading it while we watched the rest of the stream. And once it ended, we waited a few more minutes. The download finished, we hit play, and then it started unpacking the files. We waited a few more minutes and then we hit play, and then it started compiling shaders, and then it was done and we were ready to go. And I gotta say, from the outset, the presentation is on point. They did a total graphical overhaul for all of the NPCs, for the character creator, for the UI, the UX, everything has seen a facelift, and I really dig it. I mean, I think it still feels like Oblivion, but it doesn't look like they were ashamed of it. Like, it's interesting how they managed to strike that balance. And I can't really put it into words, but even some of like the NPCs or the character creator faces and defaults still have a Oblivion like flair to them. I don't know if it's just like the eye shape or spacing or what it is, but it feels like Oblivion, even though it's objectively way higher fidelity. We then went through the prologue sequence, which takes you through some tight corridors, caves, and sewers. You fight some basic level rats and goblins, and then you find your way out into the open world for the first time. All this time we were testing different graphical options, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and I think that this is where the game is going to be most critically evaluated, because everybody like loves Oblivion. The question is, how well does it run, and is it something that people can engage with on a wide variety of systems? One thing that's important to mention is that it is Steam Deck verified. So allegedly, you will be able to play this on your Steam Deck on low settings, which does imply, at the very least, that there is a good amount of scalability when it comes to the graphics settings, which is a good thing. But if you're playing on PC, you can expect to load into the game here, go into the options, and you can see that there's a lot of graphic options for you to choose from. By default, when I hit detect with my 4090 on this gaming PC, it puts everything at ultra. So if we try ultra, we'll leave ray tracing off for now, and we'll load in with DLSS set to quality, and we'll see how this looks, and perhaps most importantly, how it runs out in the open world. And here we are, actually in the game itself. Now, as you can see, our frame rates are floating right like in the 40s to 50s. This is not with any frame generation or anything turned on. We don't have anything like that cranked. This is just with those settings I just showed you turned on. And there are some ways we can get it running a little bit better out in the open world in these forested areas. For example, it seems like render resolution is a major affecting factor. If we take this all the way down to performance, hit apply, and then back out, you can see it looks a good bit worse, but the frame rate spikes into the high 80s, low 90s. So it's an Unreal Engine game. It definitely seems like this has been optimized with DLSS and frame generation stuff in mind. The other thing is that I feel like all of the advertising materials are showcasing the game running in like really high quality lighting, specifically with ray tracing turned on. And that is where you do see a tangible difference, I will say. If I turn on Lumen Hardware ray tracing and I just set it to ultra, for example, then I can hit apply. I'm gonna go back up to quality because I wanna showcase this in its best light, pun intended. And you can see that there's now shadows casting from the trees. It's actually darker in individual areas, but there's also some weird artifacting that happens higher up in the trees where certain areas seem way darker than they should be. So there's just some weird kind of eccentricities with it. But as we move and run, you can see that we're still floating in like the high 50s. And again, this is with a 4090. This is like a $1,500 graphics card, and it's struggling to maintain 60 frames in some of these angles and shots. So this is not a game I think you're going to be cranking to the max and getting really solid frame rates with. It's an Unreal Engine game, and it's heavy. It really, really is. Most people are probably going to be playing this on like medium settings would be my guess. And if you want to see what that looks like, if we go all the way down to quality level and we drop it to like medium, you're probably also turning off ray tracing, because I don't know why you'd be on medium with high ray tracing. So we're going to turn ray tracing off, and you can see you can toggle Lumen software ray tracing quality from low to high. You can't actually turn it off, which is weird. But we go back out. This is probably what you can expect to see for most people running not ridiculous overpriced hardware. And it doesn't look bad, but I just want to be clear that if you're expecting to get fidelity to the level of what you saw in the trailers, you're probably not, unless you're running like a 4090, a 4080 at 1440p, or a 50 series like 80 or 90. I just don't think you should expect too much and then get disappointed, frankly. Oh, what's this? Dynamic encounter.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Maybe this is where we bring up the combat discussion. So it is true that this is Oblivion through and through. It, get back here, get back here. The combat has seen an overhaul a little bit. But fundamentally, it is still Oblivion. Like the combat is still swipe, 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 you're dead. That's really what it is at the end of the day. You can still interact with like bodies and objects like this. You can still do that, that remains, but the combat, I mean, this is not, it's not even quite on the level of like Avowed. Avowed did a ton of work to overhaul melee combat for this type of game, And it's not quite on that level here. But again, it's better than the original, which is, I think, all they were really trying to do. But, you know, don't expect too much. They also have overhauled the third person viewpoint as well. And they said they wanted to get it as usable as it was in Starfield, which is to basically just mean that it's playable in third person. Whereas with the original Oblivion game, there wasn't a crosshair. There weren't some of these like basic sort of assumed or mandated features you would expect in games nowadays. And they have overhauled it. It does work better than the original, but it's really weird. Like, I don't know how to frame it other than the animations just feel kind of weird when you're running and you're sprinting and trying to fight in third person. So I don't know how usable it is, frankly, but again, it's better than it was. But that also is not saying a whole lot. But at the end of the day, I think what they were really trying to do, as I pick all of these tomatoes, I think they were just trying to introduce this game to a new audience, which was frankly needed. And this broke the brains of some of the people on stream today, but I'll stress it again. Oblivion came out close to 20 years ago, okay? You're probably not playing a game like this until you're like middle school at the youngest. So there are people out there who are 24, 25, 26 years old who were very young children when this game originally came out and have therefore never played it. There are also people who were born in like 2007-ish who were like 4 years old when Skyrim came out and therefore never played the game, but are now like 18 years old and maybe genuinely interested in what Elder Scrolls has to offer, but have never played it themselves because they were too young when those games came out, because it's been so long. And that's something that I think is very much on top of mind for Xbox executives, for Bethesda Game Studios executives, because they know that like Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be a huge game. It needs to be like $1 billion game. And they have a whole generation of gamers who have never seen, oh, that looks good. The lighting looks good. Who have never played these games, who have never seen these games themselves. And that's, again, not lost on them. I think they're very, very aware of that. And I think a release like this can go a long way to introduce the franchise to that audience who's never seen it. So when we say like introduce Oblivion to a modern audience, I know a lot of us roll our eyes at that term, but it's well intentioned and I think it's a valid concern to have. Similarly, valid concerns are things like performance issues with Unreal Engine. This is one example. There's weird lighting caching issues and pop-in like that I've noticed as we've gone through it. There was also this one moment on stream where I set the quality to low to see what the game would look like on lower powered systems, and there were major graphical issues and artifacting and pop-in with lighting. I don't even know what to call this, but you can see it here. It happened even when we reloaded the game save file completely and we went to a different area, it still did it. I don't know what this is, and I don't know if this is a widespread issue or just something with my computer, but there are issues like that here. Now, to be fair, I don't think pop-in with shadows like this is going to make the game bad when it would have otherwise been good. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, frankly, but I do want to point out that there are some eccentricities and weird behaviors when it comes to lighting and stuff like that. It's technically a Bethesda game even still, so I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. But as you can see, the lighting, especially at night, looks really good. And if we wait till morning, let's go like 13 hours. Here we are in the morning, and you can see we got some actual like God rays coming through. We've got some very delicate lighting. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, so pretty, so beautiful. Some NPCs walking around, but again, you can see like the cloth is kind of freaking out a little bit up there. So it's Oblivion. You know, there's some quirks, there's some weird behaviors, there's some NPCs glitching into rocks and stone, but that's to be expected. You know, maybe it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's part of the charm. But listen, the game came out like all of 3-4 hours ago or whatever it was when I'm filming this. So I'm going to keep testing it. I'm going to keep seeing what it has to offer. But as of right now, I think it's doing exactly what they wanted it to do, to bring Oblivion to a new audience and to give people who played it back in the day that sort of nostalgic fix that they were hoping to get. And I think they achieved that very thing. You know, it's clunky, it's weird, it still plays kind of strangely at times, and it's got some quirks, but I think they're doing exactly what they wanted to do with it. And I got to give them credit because they almost kept this a secret, and it wasn't even really their fault that it started to leak, because originally it was the FTC filings and paperwork that was released that tipped us off to this. But I do think that it's a solid surprise, and it's nice to have now, and it's available on Game Pass right now. You can play it on Xbox, PS5. You can play it on all those platforms. Hello.
I love dogs. Doesn't everyone?
Dude.
They probably call us the dog people here in town.
The dog people.
Ramalis and I love dogs. We have quite a few.
I can
so
see that.
Sweet and well-behaved, you wouldn't believe.
That's so funny.
Take care.
Take care. Oh, Oblivion. I will also say that I did check with people in chat, and they said that it is even optimized for like PS5 Pro. So if you were interested in playing the game on PS5, if you have a PS5 Pro, apparently it is optimized for that. I've not had the chance to test console performance at this point, but if it's anything like the PC performance, I would assume that there's just weird quirks and stuff like that, as you can see. Like what's going on there? I don't know. We move forward, it goes away. But there's just gonna be stuff like that, I think, as you go through the game, and you know, can't say I'm that surprised. But all told, I'm really glad to have this. I'm excited to go through Oblivion again, but with a fresh coat of paint, and it gets me excited at the prospect of something else that came out as part of those FTC paperwork filings and things, which is a rumored Fallout 3 remake, which allegedly is being done as well and should be out maybe next year or the year after. I'm not sure. But seeing them do a pretty solid job here makes me excited to see what that Fallout project could look and run like to introduce Fallout 3 to a new audience as well, because that's also a game that hasn't aged that well. So time will tell, time will tell. But let me know in the comments if you're going to be checking out the Oblivion remake yourself, or if you are going to maybe hold off until you get some more technical impressions and stuff of how it runs. Let me know what you think of all of this yourself. But with that, I'm going to take off this jacket because it's very hot in here, and I feel like the bit has gone on too long. So until next time, my friends, much love. I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.